Tuesday, and it's fair to say Carrick has got United flying. But West Ham, they're in good form now as well. So Tuesday night's trip will be a tough one, maybe tougher than you think. Let's run through all the team news and the important notes ahead of kickoff at the London Stadium for United. So 2 games in quick succession for Carrick. We had Spurs on Saturday, and now we've got West Ham, his 2 former clubs, actually, funny enough. Can he make it 2 from 2? Can he make it 5 from 5? I'm going to run through all the team news. The question I think we've got about maybe Casemiro, about Mbeumo, about Šeško, and about changes. Haven't really been any changes, kind of at all, apart from the forced one with Dorgu. Will there be changes now? You can let me know what you think in the comments below. As always, please do drop a like on the video. But in terms of, look, if you were to look at the table, you go, right, United can win this game, aren't we? West Ham down there in 18th, but West Ham's form has been impressive. Right, take a look at these last 5 games. Big up to Batano, by the way, supporting Our People's TV. Still working with them. We've got some cracking giveaways coming up. Results, as I said. They've won 4 out of their last 5 games. They are going back to the league table there. You can see their form compared to everybody else around them. That win against Burnley at the weekend was kind of the definition of a 6-pointer for West Ham, creating that gap below them. The only game they've lost is that late turnaround against Chelsea. They were 2-0 up in that game as well. They've been impressive, and they've been dangerous. So United are going to the London Stadium when West Ham are banging form. You know what's a mad stat? It's going to make you feel sick. I don't think we've won at the London Stadium since like 2021. Like when Jesse Lingard scored for us, for United. My God, we've had some bogey teams. Is everybody a bogey team? Have we been that bad? Probably, yep. Anyway, these are the 2 starting 11s from West Ham's game against Burnley and United's game against Spurs. And from our own perspective, there are question marks to be asked about the fitness of Casemiro. A little one about Mbeumo. Now, Carrick might well be speaking about this in his press conference, but that press conference itself, the question is, would you take a risk on either of them? And I suppose, is Casemiro the biggest risk? The thing is, right, that United don't play for another 13 days after this game. So if you're going to, it's kind of like your definition of risk. If you play Casemiro in this game, it's a little bit of a risk given that tackle that was put on him in the Spurs game by Romero. But then at the same time, if you take Casemiro out of the team and you put Ugarte in there, that in itself is a risk because of how well Casemiro and Manu have been playing together. I probably think I'm going to keep both of them in. I'm going to keep them in. Kobe and Casemiro, maybe take Casemiro off after about 60, 65 minutes, maybe a bit pre-planned. But if I'm going to get Casemiro, I'd rather have him from the start of this game rather than the end. In terms of where I'm looking at the danger point, I'm looking at these, right? Somerville has scored 5 in his last 5 games. Bowen is West Ham's best player. Now, I don't actually think, probably against Fulham, I think that was when they were knocking the ball wide and they were actually having quite a bit of success in some build-up. I would say this is where the danger point is going to be. Delot up against Somerville in particular, but also Shaw and Bowen, the 2 wide men for West Ham. They're likely going to be playing on the counter, and they've got pace to burn up front. So I think, actually, I even mentioned this in my sort of what we learned video after Spurs. I actually think Delot and Shaw quietly have been playing quite well. Delot in particular, given how I feel about him as a player. I think he's limited, but I think in a back 4 system, he's looking a lot more confident. They're going to have to be really good, but at the same time, you're going to have to see what United have been doing really well so far under Carrick. Drop it into this shape. Well, not him. It's actually Cunha. Drop it into that shape. 4-4-2 out of possession. I think that's going to be quite important against West Ham in terms of blocking the spaces for Bowen and for Somerville. Somerville particularly because he's basically... would you say Bruno's the informed player in the whole league? I mean, he's one of them. But Somerville is as well, because he's got 5 goals in his last 5 games. In terms of changes up front, I mean, the question's going to be asked every single game, really. At what point do you start Šeško? Is it this game? I really do feel sorry for him, but Carrick's being vindicated with his decisions because we're winning. It's 4 from 4. And I think that the same logic exists in my mind going into this game. If it's not broken, don't fix it. However, I would say there's a concern about Mbeumo. So if Carrick doesn't want to risk Mbeumo and we do leave him out, then it's quite simple really. Mbeumo drops to the bench, Cunha goes out left, and Šeško goes up front. And I think pretty much the same style can be applied. Šeško's very good out of possession, can play in that 4-4-2 shape when we drop back. Also, we give United something a little bit different. And when it comes to runs in behind, Šeško's quite similar to Mbeumo in that sense. Always on the last shoulder, always preferring those balls in behind. How many balls in behind are we going to get against a West Ham team that is likely to stay disciplined? In terms of teams that could set up in the low block, you probably feel like this one's the most likely, if it's going to happen. It's been working for them, and they've had mad danger on the counter-attack with Somerville. Did you see their goals they scored against Burnley? First one was just a great move from Fernandes, bursting through the middle, through ball to Somerville, little dink over the goalkeeper, and the second goal was a really nice whipped cross from Diouf. Miro's not fit, then it's probably just going to be a straight swap for Ugarte. So fingers crossed he is. All depends on risks. In terms of my prediction, I think I'm going to go for a 2-1 United win. I think this is going to be a tough game. West Ham, they're in good form. So are we. I know that, but I just feel like this one's going to be a tough one. I feel like West Ham are probably going to be one of the more disciplined shapes that we've actually faced, and they're in good form, and they'll be buoyed by that win against Burnley. But that's my starting 11. I'm not changing anything. Why would I? Said the same thing ahead of Spurs, and I will say the same thing if we win this game and we go into the game against Everton. Why change what isn't broken? But if Casemiro is a concern, Ugarte comes in, and if Mbeumo is a concern, then Šeško comes in. Those two swaps feel quite straightforward. My prediction is 2-1. You can let me know yours in the comments below. But United could make it 5 from 5 against West Ham.